Hello, and welcome to the Motivational Millennial Podcast, where we talk with inspiring members of the millennial generation who are living life with a sense of purpose and achieving their dreams. I'm Blake Brandis.
And I'm Ivy LeClaire.
Our motivational millennial guest today is Molly Mandelberg. Molly is a tech-savvy strategist supporting coaches, healers, change makers, and visionaries to expand their businesses in a way that allows them to reach more people and make more money with less time spent. With the heart of a writer and the brain of an engineer, Molly is uniquely qualified to support her people not only to connect the dots and tackle the tech, but also to craft their deep work into inspiring content and hot copy. As a business strategist and creation coach, she is known for taking the overwhelm out of big, exciting projects so that they can be birthed into the world and received by those who need them. Molly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. And to start off, we'd love to hear more about what you're up to at the moment and what you love about it.
So I have created sort of my dream career where I get to work with awesome people every day. My clients are kind of my best friends in a lot of ways. They're really incredible people who are out to change the world. And I get to travel as often as I want to. I just got back from 2.5 months of a little bit of Europe and a lot of bit of road tripping around the country. And then last night at 11 p.m., I just bought a ticket to Africa. So my life is just a crazy whirlwind of a dream come true. Meanwhile, I get to be creating projects that I just come up with and get to implement. And as a writer and an artist, it feels really good to be able to have solid income while also just doing whatever I want all the time, which I just love. So yeah, life is really good.
Yeah, I really love the phrase, a crazy whirlwind of a dream come true. That sounds amazing.
So would you take us back a little bit, Molly, into how you got started in helping people figure out the tech side of their business so they could have a bigger impact on the world?
Yeah, so it kind of happened to me. When I started my business, I was doing hypnotherapy. And there was about a year where I realized that I didn't really want to be doing that forever. And I wanted to switch into more coaching and consulting. And I was switching niches a lot, trying to figure out who exactly I wanted to work with, what exactly that was going to look like, how I could become location independent in the process. And every time I would switch my niche, I would create another course, create another website, develop all this content and put it out into the world. And then after a while, I got kind of frustrated that nothing was going as I had wanted it to. It wasn't all landing quite as fabulously as I had hoped. So I just had this like knockdown, drag out conversation with my friend where we were both asking each other, like, just tell me what I'm great at. Just tell me what the world needs from me so I can stop messing around and just offer that, because I want to be working in my genius zone and I want to be serving people like to the best of my ability. So just tell me what I'm great at. And she was like, you're really great at the system stuff, the strategy stuff. You're great at seeing the bigger picture and putting words together to make everything make sense. And I was like, no one's going to pay me for that. That's the fun stuff. And she was like, no, that's what we need from you. That's what we need your help with. And I was like, fine, I'll try it. And I had the opportunity to speak to 15 potential clients the next day. So I just at the last minute changed my speech totally, completely, made an offer for this new iteration of my business. 2 people said yes. And it's just been this upward spiral since that happened of referrals coming in, my online business booming, everything sort of falling into place and making sense because I decided to listen to her and say, I'll try it.
So since that moment, like in what ways do you think that you've grown since that decision you made?
Oh my God, just being an entrepreneur in general, I think is a huge, huge growth opportunity. There's so much about being in business that makes you have to stay aware and pay attention and sort of pivot and turn when life throws something at you. But being someone in the coaching industry and the healing sort of field and working with people who are in that field, I think there's no room to not own your stuff. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear on your show, but I would have used a different word instead of stuff. You really have to be always looking at yourself and what needs to change, what needs to be let go of so that you can move forward. And so I feel like what I love about having found myself now in business is I'm constantly looking at ways to be a higher performer, be in more integrity, be a leader, be authentic. And those are things I wasn't actively pushing myself towards in the same way 5 years ago, you know? So I think it's just a constant growth path. I don't know about you guys, but there's less and less time for me to, I don't know, mess around, I guess, and be anything but willing to progress and to ask big questions and to take bold leaps.
I love that attitude and just really giving your gift and the fullness of your potential to the world. And I'm wondering, as you're talking about working through some of that stuff, what are some of the challenges that you faced on this journey yourself that have helped mold you into the person you are today?
Yeah, I remember a few years ago when I was trying to figure out this online business thing, and I was just sitting at my desk at my part-time job, close to tears because I was so confused by everything I was trying to put together. And the truth is, I wasn't ready to have an online business then. I didn't know what I was doing or what my content was going to be, but I was like fiercely trying to put it together anyway. That was really upsetting because I knew I wanted this thing. I knew I wanted this sort of baby to be born, and I had no clue how to put it together or how I was going to get from A to B. And that was a lot of suffering. And even, the first year or year and a half in business was really scraping by, not making any money, really a lot of gremlins about who do you think you are? Why do you think this will ever work? And just trying to fiercely believe in myself against the odds because everything was saying you should go get a job and you should just quit now before you embarrass yourself anymore. And I'm just really glad that I didn't give up in those moments. And I think a big reason I didn't give up was that I was in community with other people who were believing in themselves against the odds too. I think if you're going to go out and do something really freaking scary and totally unnormal and unnatural, to be with other people who are believing in it too and who are chasing it too is so hugely helpful.
Yeah, and who are making it feel like it's normal, even when, that path is so different compared to what we're used to thinking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
So as you were pushing through those gremlins and starting to see more success, what kind of challenges were you seeing people, specifically your clients, facing in their own inner journey and their own inner struggles? Because I'm sure part of what you do is obviously helping them figure out the tech side from like a strategic and a logistical perspective, right? This is the kind of program, here's the system to set up. But I'm sure also part of what you're doing is helping them overcome some of their own internal blocks about, I can't do it, or I'm afraid. Can you talk about a little bit about what kind of things your clients are typically feeling and how you help them overcome it?
Yeah, I can't do this is a big one, or who am I to do this? I think especially people who are emerging thought leaders who are going out there and saying, I have a message, y'all should listen to this message, it's important. There's always going to be a part of you saying, yeah, right, this isn't important. Who do you think you are? And I think definitely being a cheerleader in that sense for my clients, saying, yes, you can, and reminding them that we wouldn't be called forth to do this if it wasn't what we were supposed to be doing. Like that inkling inside you saying, this is my path, I'm moving in this direction. That's not an accident, in my opinion. That's something coming forth, trying to direct you to your perfect path. And if you deny that, it's going to cause more suffering. So do whatever you have to do to get in alignment with it and move through those parts of you that are telling you not to and see what happens. If it's really not what you're meant to be doing, you'll be squashed enough times that you'll quit. But if you allow yourself to chase after it, there's only amazing things, amazing lessons you can learn by the struggle and amazing things you can create by the, successes and the triumph. So if anyone out there who's listening is being called forth to play a bigger game, to do something big and scary, I don't think it's an accident that you're having that inclination. Go after it, see what happens, see how many times you can scrape your knee and still get up and keep walking, because there's big games to play here. And if we keep playing small, then we're just going to get stuck in that rut of playing small and not even wondering what more we're capable of or what more is possible. I love working through that stuff with my clients, and they already know it. When I say you're meant for big things, they're already there. Like, some part of them already knows that that's true, and that sometimes we just need to remind each other of it. So I'm happy to be that cheerleader. And it's so fun watching people, break through those blocks and keep moving.
I love that philosophy of just the fact that you are having that dream or that inclination means that you have the right to it. It's like the philosophy that all human beings deserve to be happy and fulfilled, and we don't have to earn it. We don't have to like grind out a certain number of years before we're like allowed to be happy. But just by being born, it's like that is a birthright in a way. So I love that kind of that philosophy of, if you're being pulled in a certain direction, like that's all the permission that you need.
Yeah.
And then, as you were saying with your own journey, then there's the iterative process, right? Like, you have that deep inner calling, and that is the intuition. And then the form it takes, that is what needs to be workshopped and submitted to feedback and all the different things that got you eventually to what you're doing now through the frustrating dips and valleys and cul-de-sacs, it sounds like, along the way.
Yeah, totally.
So what has it been like? You've kind of talked a little bit about two phases, the period where there was like the confusion and not really knowing what direction you wanted to go. And then having that moment of, okay, I'm going to do a whole new niche, and then seeing the success after it's taken off. So now that you're in this phase where you're in the whirlwind of your dream life, what little hitches or things like still come up that you need to work through, and how do you work through them?
Yeah, that's a good question. The things that come up for me now are more like, how do I fit it all in? Because I'm a creator, so I'm always like adding more projects to the plate and seeing who else I can collaborate with, what more I can share with the world, and what that's going to look like. And so I'm finding that the need to prioritize is like my biggest challenge right now. Like, what has to happen first? And even though, step 5 is really exciting, can I do step 1, 2, 3, and 4 before that? I'm a really productive person, and I've got a lot of systems in place to make me that way. So really the challenge, as things get busier and more high stress, I have to like force myself to rely on those systems and to really put everything on the list and put, numbers by them, and then make another list and put certain tasks at certain times on different days and block off moments where there's going to be blank space so that I'm not just going all the time. Scheduling and prioritization are definitely the biggest challenges right now.
Which of those systems that you've put in place has made the biggest impact in your business, would you say?
I'm like a crazy list maker. So if I could impart any wisdom about organization to anyone, it would be get everything out of your head and onto paper, or onto Trello or Asana or any kind of project management system you can use, so that you don't have to keep it in your head anymore. Because if you try to go to a project and work on it when you're also trying to remember 45 other things that need to not be forgotten, it's just going to be harder than if you get that stuff all out of your head. So brain dump as often as possible is my advice.
That's great advice on the organizational side. Thank you. And for millennials who are also on this path towards fulfillment and achieving their dreams, what advice would you give them about their personal journey?
Don't give up. Don't give up, and choose your tribe wisely. Like, if you're around people who aren't going to believe in this, or who are going to shoot it down when it's not even born yet, find new friends.
For real.
Some people can stay in your life and just not be shared with. Like, you can keep those friends who might shoot it down, just don't share it with them yet. but make sure you get a community that's doing this. Make sure you get friends who believe it's possible too. And if you can find people who've already made it, who will sort of stand on the edge of the cliff and pull your rope up, then all the better. But if you can just find other people who are chasing it too, have coffee with them, take them to lunch, hang out with them, the more time you spend with people who are chasing the same dream, the less likely you are to give up halfway through.
That's really a great reminder, I think, for all of us, because so often we feel like we have to be the sole drivers and keepers of our vision. And while that's true sort of on a grand level, and that, you are the one who understands it the deepest and the most, to your point, we are, I don't want to say fragile because that implies a certain amount of weakness, but we are heart-centered beings. And I think we do have a sensitivity towards the delicateness, especially when a dream is in its early stages. And having those people who are going to cultivate it, I think, is great advice. Also, because sometimes we almost want to take something to someone to have a shoot it down because it's that validation that we secretly believe that it's not a good idea or that we're not the right person for it. And so I really like that approach of don't go to the people who you know are going to be negative or skeptical first thing. Has there been an experience in your journey? It sounds like your friend maybe perhaps who really affirmed you in that way. And has there been any other time, either before or after, where there was someone who you took an idea to when you weren't sure and they were just really supportive and helped you bring it to fruition?
I'm like really blessed to have a creative mom. So my mom's been a successful writer for over 40 years. She was a screenwriter for many years, and now she's got a career as a playwright. Last year alone, she had a book published, a play produced, and a movie produced. So I am super fortunate in that when I'm hard on myself and I'm wanting to give up and quit, and I go to her and say, what the hell am I doing with my life? Her answer is always, Molly, you're so clearly on your perfect path. And that has been such a tremendous gift in my life for so many years that even when I was like a wandering gypsy, selling my art at music festivals, being like kind of a bum, she had nothing but supportive energy for me and supportive words. So if you don't have parents like that, I get it. It's a weird fluke that I happen to have that. But find people who will be that for you, who will champion you when you're down on yourself. There's a group of women that I've been on the phone with once a week for a few years now. And when I was really, really ready to quit and really ready to get a job and just say, guys, I can't do it anymore, they were the ones saying, just wait a week. Just give it one more week. We'll talk next Thursday. Just wait. And it was that week that really things broke for me. Like the wall broke apart and I walked through it. So if I hadn't had that support system and if I hadn't had people willing to believe in me when I didn't, I think I would have given up a long time ago.
Yeah, it's as you're speaking, it's really reminding me that have a community and support system is great because like there's the encouragement, but sort of to Blake's point too earlier, we were saying, subconsciously sometimes we want to share it with people who are going to be like, you probably shouldn't do that, because then we can like play small. So it's really just a testament to you that you are spending time with people who are going to push you to be your big self, right? Not in an aggressive way, but in like an encouraging way, but there's still that pushing yourself. It's like even to put yourself into a community or with a group that's going to hold you accountable like that and see that big vision for you takes a lot of bravery as well.
Totally.
And I'm curious, Molly, on your gypsy path, as you described it, during those years, what did you learn about yourself and the world through that time?
A lot, a whole lot. Yeah. I mean, I sort of realized when I was 19 that the amount of personal growth I could undergo traveling was like exponential compared to staying put somewhere. So I made a commitment when I was in college and finishing college that I just wanted to travel and see who I could become. And so, I'd read a lot of books and I'd just talk to a lot of strangers and figure out, who I wanted to be, how I could be that, and what I needed to let go of in order to move forward. So my gypsy years were really formative and informative about what the world was to me and what I wanted my role in it to be. But it wasn't until, a weird sequence of events that I accidentally happened to become a business owner. Like I studied hypnotherapy and then was like, well, if I want to practice it, I should get a business license. And then in 10 days, I had an office, a business license, a website, all these things. As long as you're following your nose, as long as you're letting something from within guide you forward, you will land on something that you're supposed to be doing. And there's all the wrong things are going to happen first, right? All the, crappy bartending jobs I took and all the places I quit and was fired from led me to what I'm doing now. And it took that many mishaps for me to get to this. So don't be afraid to fail. Fail as much as possible. Make it as messy as you can and see what comes with it. Hopefully along that process, you'll find out what you're really great at, or someone will tell you, and then you can start doing that and see how it goes.
So in your experience, what do you think are some of the internal or external challenges that millennials face?
Well, we were dealt a funny hand with college tuition going up, still being told we should go there. So ending up as adults with a lot of debt from the get-go. I think a big problem that millennials face is feeling like we got gypped in a way and letting our debt run our lives. People have always said like, oh, if only I had money to travel. I've never had money to travel. I just did it anyway. I don't know how I'm going to afford this trip to Africa that I just bought, but I could afford the plane ticket. So boom, I am expecting the universe to provide, and I'm expecting my business to keep going the way it's going so that I will be able to afford that trip. Just have to do it anyway.
Yeah, I'm really hearing that hope and confidence as a couple values that are shining through there.
Yeah.
Molly, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. Where can people find out more about you and your work online?
Yeah, so my website is wildhearts with an S, riseup.com. And I actually have a really awesome tarot quiz for female entrepreneurs. That's at wildheartsriseup.com/quiz, which I'm really excited about because it sort of encompasses my magical and my business side. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out there.
That's cool. Thank you. I'm going to check that out.
A beautiful combination. Well, Molly, thank you again. And I hope you have a wonderful trip to Africa.
Thanks. It was great talking to you guys. Thanks for having me.
For show notes and previous episodes, or to learn more about our coaching and event offerings, visit motivationalmillennial.com. That's millennial, MILLENNIAL. Keep in touch with us at facebook.com/motivationalmillennial.
We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email with your thoughts, comments, and suggestions at podcast@motivationalmillennial.com. And tell us who you might like to hear from, or if you think you or anyone you know would be good for the show.
Our theme music was composed and performed by our very own Blake Brandis.
The Motivational Millennial Podcast is edited by Brittany Felix. Have a great week, Motivational Millennials!